Several Christian organizations oppose the legislation, including the Anglican Church of Canada, Integrity Uganda, Exodus International, Accepting Evangelicals, Changing Attitude, Courage, Ecclesia, Fulcrum, Inclusive Church, and the Lesbian and Gay Christian Movement. Exodus International sent a letter to President Museveni stating the Christian church must be permitted to extend the love and compassion of Christ to all. We believe that this legislation would make this mission a difficult, if not impossible, task to carry out. A group of U.S. Christian leaders have released a statement to Uganda about the bill, stating that the bill would become state-legislated genocide. Following private discussions with Ugandan Anglican Church, the Archbishop of Canterbury, Dr. Rowan Williams, has said in public interview that he did not see how any Anglican could support it. Overall, the proposed legislation is of shocking severity, and I can't see how anyone could support this who is an Anglican, who is committed to what the Communion has said in recent decades. Apart from invoking the death penalty, it makes pastoral care impossible, and it seeks to turn pastors into informers. Divisions are emerging in the Anglican Church. Not all are necessarily opposed to the legislation. Joseph Aburo wrote an editorial comment stating, Ugandan Parliament, the watchdog of our laws, please go ahead and put the anti-gay laws into place. It is then that we become truly accountable to our young and to this country, not to Canada or England. We are in charge. While the Anglican Church in Uganda opposes the death penalty, its Archbishop has not taken a position on the bill. Uganda's Catholic Archbishop of Kampala, Cyprian Langwa, stated in December of 2009 that the death penalty provisions of the bill were unnecessary and at odds with the core values of Christianity. Langwa urged homosexuals instead to seek rehabilitation. For its part, the Holy See has maintained excellent relations with Uganda, with Pope Benedict receiving the Ugandan ambassador in December 2009 and commending the climate of freedom and respect in the country towards the Catholic Church. During the meeting, there was no mention of the anti-homosexual bill. However, 3 days earlier, the Vatican legal attaché to the United Nations stated that Pope Benedict is clearly opposed to unjust discrimination against gay men and lesbians. Risking arrest and possible imprisonment, 200 LGBT activists attended a conference organized by a coalition of organizations brought together by the Unitarian Universalist minister in Kampala on February 14, 2010. The conference was titled Standing on the Side of Love, and it focused on religions during the meeting to show that religious arguments can be defeated. Sadly, not all things are going well. In June 2010, it was reported that the Family Research Council spent $25,000 to lobby against the United States House resolution that would condemn the Uganda bill. And a non-denominational church in Las Vegas has been outspoken in supporting the author of the anti-homosexual bill. Last month, the Cause Lou Engle, who led the charge for California's Prop 8, the ballot measure that overturned the sanctioning of same-sex marriage by the state Supreme Court, convened a revival rally in Kampala. It featured proponents of the Anti-Homosexual Act calling for the bill's passage from the very stage that was set up. The week before his Kampala appearance, Engle issued a statement saying that he knew nothing of the Uganda bill when he made arrangements for the rally. This seems highly unlikely given the high-profile news coverage of the bill that the bill had received in February. He went on to state, now recently the call has been wrongfully marked and vilified as an organization promoting hatred and violence toward homosexuals, and as one that supports the Uganda bill as it is currently written. To the contrary, we have never made a private or public statement of support for the bill. Though we honor the courage and stand with the stated purpose of many of the church leaders in Uganda who are seeking to protect the traditional and biblical family foundations of the nation, we have serious concerns with the bill as presently written, especially in terms of some of the harsh penalties for some homosexual behaviors or offenses. But as reported by Michael Wilkerson of Religious Dispatches, Ingalls' appearance at the rally was sandwiched between two speakers who openly supported the bill, warming up the crowd, as well as directly afterwards. Ingalls was immediately followed on the stage by James Nasabi Batoro, Uganda's Minister of Ethics and Integrity, who, according to Wilkerson, said the bill will be passed into law without any debate. At an episode titled Intersections of Church and State, the PBS show In the Life, it exposes the family and the family's relationship to the driving forces behind Uganda's anti-gay Kill the Gays bill. Jeff Sherritt, the author of the book The Family, The Secret Fundamentalism at the Heart of American Power, in December 2009, Senator Brownback told reporter Mike Stark that he didn't know enough about Uganda's bill specifics to condemn it, and however, that's a little hard to believe unless you live under a rock. On the eve of the National Prayer Breakfast, an annual event sponsored by the family in which President Obama was scheduled to speak, the issue became a point of contention between gay groups and the White House. Alternate published an extensive interview with Charlotte just days ahead of Obama's appearance, in which he explained how the family's influence in Uganda, where President Museveni is closely affiliated with the family, is playing out. I think the family opened the doors for Uganda, for which they consider to be an evangelical revival, and the result was to make the country sort of a guinea pig of experiments for American culture war. This is a way foreign policy often works. Political experiments happen at the fringes, and policies that can't be implemented here at home are tried elsewhere. In the case of the anti-gay bill, Charlotte said that the family's influence got away from them with this bill, and that ultimately gave the group a kind of visibility that they never expected nor wanted of its own Washington, D.C. members. It was likely deemed to be too extreme. Charlotte explains in the PBS documentary, however, that the controversy over the bill, reported repeatedly by MSNBC's Rachel Maddow, it rose to such a clamor in the days preceding the National Prayer Breakfast that the family abruptly pulled its main speaker, Spain's Prime Minister, instead for Hillary Clinton, who used the occasion to condemn Uganda's anti-gay bill. Clinton's admonition, though, is reported to have come with no threat of foreign aid. So the bill still lives, although a cabinet committee appointee by Museveni under the U.S. pressure has urged the bill's withdrawal. That was several months ago, and yet the bill still lives. Highlighted in the documentary of the story of a young Ugandan named Moses, who is currently seeking asylum to the United States. He is so fearful for his life that he spoke with a paper bag over his head at a news conference at the National Prayer Club, which was convened by a coalition of religious and gay rights groups, just days before the prayer breakfast. There he described how he was targeted for being gay and was raped so brutally by policemen in his home country that he bled for days but dared not seek medical attention for fear of being thrown into prison and tortured more. Just last week, the Center for American Progress hosted retired Ugandan Bishop Christopher Senyojo of the Anglican Church, who is constantly on the run due to death threats that he and his wife received because of their support of the gay community. For his good works, 78-year-old Senyojo has been stripped of his pension by the church. Through the preaching of evangelists, many Ugandans have come to believe that homosexuality could lead to the similar destruction of their nation. In a land plagued by AIDS, that's not a tough sell. The irony is, before the religious right had its way with Uganda, it had one of the best records as it pertains to HIV and AIDS. But according to Senyojo, the trend toward abstinence-only sex education, flogged by the right in the U.S., has been exported to Uganda, where it is having dire consequences, a fate that demonization of LGBT people can only make worse. When we come back, we will give you the response from the Evangelical Network.